The day my sister broke my rib, I thought I was going to die on that kitchen floor. But what hurt more than the pain in my chest was hearing my mom laugh. She said, "Don't call the cops, it'll ruin her life." That was the moment I knew I didn't have a family. Not anymore. But I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I planned. And when I tell you what I did next, you'll understand why revenge is best served cold. If you want to hear the full story and see how it ends, please like this video, drop a comment telling me what you'd do if your own sister hurt you like that, and hit subscribe for more real-life revenge stories like this. My name is Natalie. I'm 29 years old. I live in the quiet, forgotten estate of Maple Crossings. And this is how I learned the difference between family and enemies and how sometimes they're the same people. It started a few months before my birthday. I was working late shifts as a nursing assistant at the local hospital. I wasn't rich, but I was saving every penny to move out and get my own place. I shared the house with my mom, my older sister Amanda, and Amanda's 5-year-old son Caleb. My dad died when I was 14. After that, Amanda started acting like she was the queen of the house. She was a year older than me, but you'd think she was my mom the way she talked down to me. She dropped out of college, bounced from job to job, and moved back in with us when Caleb's dad disappeared. I didn't mind helping. I've always been the quiet one, the responsible one. I cooked. I cleaned. I paid rent on time. Amanda, she never said thank you. One evening, I got home from a 12-hour shift. I was exhausted. My feet were screaming. I kicked off my shoes and walked into the kitchen, hoping to grab the last slice of pizza I'd been thinking about all day. It was gone. Amanda sat on the couch, phone in hand, laughing at some TikTok video. Caleb was smearing peanut butter on the dog. The pizza box lay open on the counter, empty. I stood there, staring at it. I wasn't even mad about the food. I was mad because it was always the same story. My things were never respected. My space wasn't mine. My voice meant nothing. "Did you eat the last slice?" I asked, trying to keep my tone calm. Amanda didn't even look up. "Yeah. So what? It's just food. Chill." I opened my mouth, but nothing came out. I was too tired to argue. I walked to the fridge to grab some water. Then she said something that changed everything. "You always act like a victim. Nobody owes you anything, Natalie. You live here for free." I froze. That was a lie. I paid $650 every month in rent, and half the utilities. Amanda didn't pay a dime. Neither did Mom. I pay rent," I said softly. Amanda rolled her eyes. "Yeah. Well, maybe you should pay for your own food too, then. Or better yet, move out." I clenched the water bottle in my hand. I wanted to yell, but I didn't. I just walked out of the room. Later that night, I sat on the edge of my bed, scrolling rental listings on my phone. The cheapest studio in town was $980 a month. I didn't have enough saved, but I was close. 3 more months, I told myself. Just 3 more. Then I could finally leave. But things didn't get better. They got worse. Amanda started taking my clothes without asking. She'd borrow my shoes, stretch them out, and leave them muddy by the door. One day she took my work scrubs and cut them up for arts and crafts with Caleb. I tried talking to Mom, but she'd just shrug. "She's your sister," she'd say. "You girls need to stop fighting and act like a family." I wasn't fighting. I was surviving. Then one Saturday morning, I woke up to find my phone missing. I searched everywhere, under the couch, behind the fridge, in the laundry basket. Gone. I asked Amanda if she'd seen it. She said no. That night, I used Mom's laptop to track it. Guess where it pinged? Amanda's car. I walked outside, heart pounding. I opened the passenger door and found it stuffed in the glove box, cracked down the middle. When I confronted her, she laughed. "Oh, come on. You act like it's gold." It was just sitting there. Caleb probably grabbed it. Caleb didn't know my password. He couldn't have opened it. But Amanda? She'd always wanted to look through my messages. She was paranoid I was talking about her behind her back. I went to my room, closed the door, and locked it. My hands were shaking. That night, I called my friend Rachel. She offered to let me crash at her place until I found my own. I told her I'd think about it. Then came the day everything snapped. It was a Wednesday. I got home from work around 8 p.m. My back was sore. I had a headache. I walked into the kitchen to find Amanda throwing a party. Loud music, beer bottles, two strange guys on the couch, Caleb asleep on the stairs. My water glass was smashed on the floor. My favorite candle was burning dangerously low on the windowsill. My nerves were already frayed, but I bit my tongue until I saw one of the guys going through my mail. "Hey," I said, stepping in. "That's mine." The guy raised his hands, just looking for a menu. I looked at Amanda. "Seriously?" She rolled her eyes. "Relax. It's not that deep." "Yes, it is," I snapped. "This is my mail. My stuff. My..." Before I could finish, Amanda stood up fast. She got in my face. "You want to act like you run this house," she shouted. "Go ahead. Pay for everything then. Pay the rent. Pay Mom's meds. Pay Caleb's school." "I already do pay," I said, my voice shaking. "You just waste it." She shoved me. I stumbled back, but caught myself. "Don't touch me," I warned. She smirked. "What are you gonna do?" And then she punched me. Her fist landed right under my ribcage. I felt something crack. The pain was instant and white-hot. I gasped and dropped to the floor. I couldn't breathe. It was like my lungs collapsed. I looked up at Mom, who had just walked in. She stared at me for a second, then at Amanda. Amanda was breathing hard. Her hands still clenched. "She just hit me," I whispered. "She broke something. I need to call." Mom cut me off. "Don't call the cops," she said. "It'll ruin her life." I blinked through the pain, stunned. She just assaulted me." "She's your sister," Mom said. "Families fight. You'll be fine." I curled into a ball, the pain radiating through my chest. I could barely breathe. Amanda stood there with no regret, no apology. That's when I knew. I was alone in that house. But not for long. That night I made a plan, one that would change everything. And it started with one simple move. I waited until everyone went to sleep. Then I crawled to my room, grabbed my bag, and pulled out a small black notebook I'd been keeping hidden under my bed for months. The title written at the top, Operation Get Out. And just beneath it, Phase 1 Payback. I wasn't going to call the cops. Not yet. I was going to do something worse. Make them need me. Depend on me. Then pull the rug from under their feet. One step at a time. But first, I had to get proof of what Amanda had done. And I knew exactly where to start. The next morning I could barely stand. Every breath was like fire in my side. I moved slowly like I was made of glass. Amanda and Mom were in the kitchen again, laughing like nothing happened. I stood by the hallway listening. "She's so dramatic," Amanda said. "Bet she's going to pretend to be sick now." Mom chuckled. "Just ignore her. You know how she is." That was all I needed to hear. I slipped back into my room and pulled out my phone. The screen was cracked, but it still worked. I opened the voice recorder and started talking. Every detail, every bruise, every word they said last night. I took pictures of my side in the mirror. Dark purple, swelling up fast. The shape of Amanda's fist was clear. Then I sat down at my desk and opened my notebook again. I wrote, "Step 2, record everything." I knew the cops wouldn't believe me without proof. Amanda was the golden child. Everyone saw her as this sweet, struggling single mom. Me, I was just the quiet sister who worked too much and took things too seriously. So I played the long game. I acted like nothing happened. I limped around the house, careful not to show how much it hurt. I offered to help with groceries. I even cleaned Amanda's messes. Every time they talked trash, I recorded it. Every time they yelled, I saved it. But I also started planning my escape. I applied for 3 rental units and 2 second jobs. I talked to Rachel again, and she said her neighbor was looking for a roommate. Come stay here, she said. We'll figure it out. I smiled through the phone. Soon, I said. Very soon. That week, I moved my important stuff, birth certificate, social security card, bank papers into a locker at work. I didn't trust Amanda not to steal or destroy it. The pain in my side never fully went away. I couldn't afford a doctor, but a nurse friend at the hospital said it was likely a cracked or fractured rib. Wrap it tight, sleep on your back, and don't laugh, she said. But you need to rest. Rest wasn't an option. The more I stayed in that house, the more dangerous it felt. Amanda's moods swung like a pendulum. One day she was sweet, asking if I wanted to watch a movie. The next she was slamming doors and accusing me of stealing her charger. Mom wasn't any better. She watched it all and said nothing. Sometimes I caught her staring at me with this look of guilt, regret, but she never said sorry. Instead, she'd ask for money. Just $40 for Caleb's shoes. Just $100 for the gas bill. It was always just. And I always paid, because every dollar was a step closer to freedom. Then came the surprise. Mom sat me down one evening and said, "We've been thinking about turning the garage into a room. You can stay there. It'll be private." I stared at her. What? Why? She smiled. "So Amanda and Caleb can have your room. He needs space." "So you're kicking me out of my own room?" "Not kicking," she said. "Just relocating. For family." It took everything in me not to scream. Instead, I nodded. Sure. But in my head, I crossed out step 2 of my plan and wrote step 3, let them push. Then push back harder. That night, I slept on the floor in the garage. No insulation, no heat, just an old mattress and the smell of gasoline. I left a cup with a tiny recorder on the shelf. Then I waited, and Amanda didn't disappoint. She came in the next day with her friend, Leslie, and didn't know I was listening from my car with my phone. "Girl, Natalie's a joke," Amanda said. "She acts like she's this angel just because she works at a hospital. Please, she's so boring. And she's weak. You could punch her and she'd just cry." Leslie laughed. "You did punch her." "I know," Amanda said proudly. "And Mom didn't even care. Told her not to call the cops. Because she knows." "She knows what?" "That I always win." I ended the recording, saved it, backed it up on 3 drives. That was the moment I stopped feeling afraid. Amanda thought she had all the power. She didn't know I was building a case that could blow everything up. But before I could go full scorched earth, something else happened. Something I didn't expect. One night, around 2 a.m., I was sitting in my car outside Rachel's apartment. I had nowhere else to go that night. Amanda had locked me out by accident. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. It read, "I saw what happened to you. I have proof." My heart stopped. I texted back, "Who is this?" No answer. 10 minutes later, another message came in. A video file. I hesitated, then tapped it open. There it was. A recording from the night Amanda punched me. The punch. My collapse. Mom's words, "Don't call the cops. It'll ruin her life." Whoever filmed it was standing at the edge of the kitchen behind the counter. Hidden. I didn't know who it was, but someone had my back. I suddenly felt like I wasn't alone anymore, and that changed everything. The next day, Amanda had a big interview for some daycare job. She wanted to look good. She asked to borrow my black heels. I handed them over with a smile, and while she was out, I made my next move. I printed the screenshots. I uploaded the audio. I made copies of the video. I labeled the folder, evidence, abuse, and neglect. Then I slid a sealed envelope under Mom's door, one under Amanda's, and one to my lawyer friend at work. By the time Amanda got home that night, everything had changed. But she didn't know it yet. She burst into the garage, furious. "You stretched out these shoes," she shouted. "They're ruined." I didn't wear them, I said calmly. She stormed closer. Don't lie to me. I said I didn't touch them. She got in my face. Again. Raised her hand. And that's when I said it. You hit me again, and you'll be the one in handcuffs. She blinked. What? I have proof now, I said. Every punch, every threat, every lie. And if you touch me, I'll make sure you never see Caleb again. Her face went pale, but she didn't say a word. She backed away slowly. I knew then I had the upper hand, but I wasn't done yet. That night, I sent one final message to the person who filmed the video. I said, "Why did you help me?" The reply came instantly, because no one else did. Then a second message, "You're stronger than you think. Keep going." I stared at the screen for a long time and whispered to myself, they're going to regret everything. Because the next morning, something happened that would blow the entire thing open. A knock at the front door, and the person standing there, not a friend, not a neighbor. It was someone Amanda never expected to see again, and they weren't smiling. The knock echoed through the house like a warning bell. I was in the garage, tying my shoes for work, when I heard Mom open the front door. Then her voice, tense, confused. "Can I help you?" A man's voice answered, sharp and direct. "I'm here to speak to Amanda Collins." I peeked through the small garage window. Two people stood outside. One in a dark gray jacket with a clipboard in hand. The other, standing just behind him, wore a badge. My heart skipped a beat. This was it. I stepped back into the shadows. Amanda stormed to the front door in her pajamas, yawning like she didn't have a care in the world. Then she saw them. Her whole posture changed. She crossed her arms, trying to act tough. "What's this about?" The man with the clipboard looked up. "Amanda Collins? I'm with Child Protective Services. This is Officer Dean from the County Sheriff's Office. We've received a report regarding the welfare of your son, Caleb." Boom! The whole house froze. Mom's voice cracked. What kind of report? The man didn't flinch. "We received video and audio evidence suggesting Caleb is being raised in a home where there is verbal abuse, physical violence, and neglect. We're following up." Amanda's jaw dropped. "Are you serious? That's ridiculous." "I'd like to speak with Caleb," the man continued, calm but firm. "Is he home?" "No," Amanda said quickly. "He's with a friend." Lie. Caleb was upstairs. I'd heard him watching cartoons just 15 minutes earlier. Officer Dean stepped forward. "Ma'am, if your son is inside, we need to confirm his safety." Amanda looked panicked. She glanced at Mom, then at the CPS agent. Mom started to speak, but Amanda cut her off. "He's fine. We don't need anyone snooping around here." Officer Dean's face hardened. "We have the authority to enter. If you deny access, we'll return with a court order. Is that what you want?" Amanda froze, then stepped aside. I stood in the hallway now, silent, invisible, watching. Caleb peeked down from the stairs, holding his stuffed dinosaur. His eyes were wide, confused. The CPS worker smiled gently. "Hey, buddy, mind if I ask you a couple questions?" Amanda started to interrupt, but the officer raised his hand. "We'll need to speak to him privately," the agent said, "and we'll also need to inspect the rest of the home." Amanda started pacing, breathing fast. Mom looked like she was about to cry. And me? I stood there like a statue, watching the storm I had summoned start to sweep through the house. It was only the beginning. While they interviewed Caleb in the living room, the officer walked through the kitchen, down the hall, and straight to the garage. I opened the door before he knocked. "Can I help you?" I asked, calm as a summer breeze. He looked surprised. "Do you live here?" "Yes." He glanced around the cold, unfinished garage. "You sleep in here?" I nodded. "By choice." I paused. "No," I said. It was made very clear I wasn't welcome in the house anymore. He raised an eyebrow. Are you Amanda's sister? Yes. Were you the one who sent the files? I held his gaze. Yes. He looked around again, slower this time. Do you have any more documentation? I reached into my bag and handed him a folder. Copies of everything. The audio recordings, the video, photos of my bruises, even notes I'd taken of each time Amanda screamed at Caleb for small things, like spilling juice or forgetting his shoes. The officer didn't say anything as he flipped through the papers. Then he nodded once. We're going to be in touch. Stay available. I nodded, and just like that, he left. The rest of the day felt like the house was holding its breath. Amanda didn't speak to me. Mom stayed in her room. Caleb clung to his dinosaur and didn't say a word. I stayed in the garage, watching the sky turn from orange to black, listening to every creak in the walls. That night, Amanda banged on the garage door. I opened it slowly. She shoved a piece of paper into my chest. A printed sheet from CPS. They're doing a full investigation, she snapped. I know this was you. You think you're smart. I think Caleb deserves better, I said. Amanda's eyes turned wild. You ruined everything. That job offer? Gone. They called the daycare. They don't want me now. I'm not sorry. She pointed a shaking finger at me. You're dead to me. I nodded slowly. Good. Because I don't want to be alive to people like you. She stared at me like she didn't recognize who I was anymore. And maybe she didn't, because for the first time, I wasn't scared of her. I was done hiding, and I was just getting started. The next morning, Mom cornered me in the driveway as I headed to work. You went too far, she hissed. No, I said. I finally went far enough. Her voice dropped. You're destroying this family. No, I said again. You destroyed it. The day you stood there and watched her hit me. She flinched. I got into my car and drove away without looking back. That day at work, I checked my email during lunch. A message from my lawyer friend. The case is solid. She's looking at consequences. And if Caleb's dad files for custody, she'll lose him. That made me pause. Because while I wanted Amanda to pay, I didn't want Caleb caught in the middle. He didn't ask for any of this. And the worst part, he still loved her. She was his mom. So I adjusted my plan again. I didn't just want revenge anymore. I wanted justice. And justice meant making sure Caleb had a chance at a better life. One that didn't include screaming matches and bruises and being used like a pawn. I spent the next week gathering more information. I reached out to Caleb's school, told them what was going on. They agreed to monitor his behavior closely. I contacted his old babysitter, who said Amanda had once left him alone for hours while she went drinking. More fuel for the fire. But then something happened I wasn't ready for. Late one night, I heard sobbing. Not Caleb. Amanda. I stepped out of the garage and saw her sitting in the backyard, wrapped in a blanket, head in her hands. She didn't see me. She whispered into the night, I'm going to lose him. I'm going to lose everything. I stood there in the dark, frozen. And for the first time in years, I felt something. Not anger. Not hate. Pity. But pity wasn't enough to make me forget the bruises, the broken rib, the way she laughed while I laid on the floor. No, she would still answer for everything she did, but I'd make sure Caleb landed on his feet, even if it meant making the hardest decision of all. That weekend, I picked up a box of legal forms, guardianship paperwork, because if Amanda couldn't keep custody, I wanted to be the one who did. But before I could file anything, something else exploded. Something that made Amanda's CPS visit look small. It happened on a Monday. I came home from work to find flashing lights outside the house, police cars, a stretcher, an officer at the door, and Mom screaming in the yard. Amanda was gone, taken away. And the reason? Well, it involved more than just me, and a whole lot worse than anyone expected. I stood frozen at the edge of the driveway as the stretcher rolled past me. Amanda wasn't on it. It was someone else, an older woman I didn't recognize, clutching her arm in pain and shouting something about Amanda going crazy Her words were slurred, her clothes dirty, and there was blood on her lip. 2 officers were speaking to Mom on the front lawn. She was frantic, waving her hands in the air. I told her to calm down, Mom cried. But she just snapped. I don't know what's happening to her. I stepped closer. What happened? I asked one of the officers. He looked at me cautiously. You family. I nodded. Her sister. He sighed. Your sister assaulted a neighbor. Witnesses say she was screaming at the woman for knocking over a trash can. Then things got physical. Pushed her into a mailbox. Left a fracture in her wrist. We're detaining Amanda for further questioning. My stomach dropped. Not because I was surprised, but because I wasn't. Amanda had been unraveling, slowly for months. But now it was public. Now there was no hiding behind closed doors or family business. Now the whole neighborhood saw who she really was. They let Amanda out in handcuffs 10 minutes later. Her hair was a mess, mascara smeared down her face. She didn't yell. She didn't cry. She just stared straight ahead like a zombie. Caleb watched from the window. I saw his little hand pressed against the glass, his stuffed dinosaur clutched to his chest. That image burned itself into my memory. I turned to Mom. What's going to happen to him? Her face was pale. I don't know. You need to think fast, I said, because CPS is already involved. If they come back and find her gone, and you panicking, they're not going to leave him here. She looked at me like she hadn't slept in days. What do we do? I swallowed hard. I have the guardianship. Forms ready. Let me take him. Just for now. Mom blinked. You want custody? I want him safe. She looked at the house, then at the flashing lights, then back at me. You'll bring him to visit? I nodded. Of course. She closed her eyes. Fine. Just don't let them take him away from us forever. I didn't respond, because deep down, I didn't know if I could promise that. CPS showed up the next morning. I had already packed Caleb's things, his favorite toys, school supplies, a few shirts and pants. When they walked through the door, I handed over the papers and explained everything. They looked surprised. Guardianship with you? I'm his aunt, I said. I have a stable job. No criminal record. And I've been the one taking care of him anyway. They asked a few questions, checked my paperwork, and said they'd review it. In the meantime, Caleb could stay with me. So, just like that, we left Maple Crossings. I moved into Rachel's spare room. She was more than happy to help. I always knew you were the strong one, she said. Amanda had everything twisted. Caleb was quiet for the first few days. He didn't say much. He'd sit on the bed, playing with his dinosaur, waiting for someone to yell. But no one did. And slowly he started to smile again. We made pancakes on Saturday. Went to the park on Sunday. I even bought him a small backpack for school. He chose one with rocket ships on it. Every night, I tucked him in and read him a story. No shouting. No slamming doors. No fists. Just peace. But that peace didn't last long. Because a week later, Mom showed up at my door. She looked different. Sunken cheeks. Wrinkled clothes. Eyes darting around like she hadn't slept in days. I need to talk to you, she said. I stepped outside. I want you to drop everything, she whispered. The case. The reports. Just stop. I crossed my arms. Why? Her voice broke. Because Amanda's in real trouble. They're saying she could face charges. She could lose her kid, her job, her whole life. I know what she did was wrong, but she's still your sister. No, I said. She stopped being my sister the day she broke my rib. Mom stared at me. You're being cruel. No, I'm being careful, I snapped. Careful with Caleb's future. Careful with mine. And frankly, it's about time someone stopped being careful with Amanda. Mom looked like she might collapse, but I didn't care anymore. She chose Amanda every time. And now Amanda was gone. That weekend, I got a call from Officer Dean. I thought you'd want to know, he said. Amanda's facing 2 misdemeanor charges and 1 possible felony. The woman she assaulted has a lawyer. I stayed silent. There's also something else, he continued. During the investigation, we found several messages in Amanda's phone. Threats. Directed at you. That made my skin crawl. She messaged someone, Leslie, I think, talking about making you disappear. 1 punch wasn't enough, she said. Next time, I'll shut her up for good. My stomach turned. I had known she was dangerous, but I didn't know how far she was willing to go. What happens now? I asked. We're recommending a restraining order. She won't be allowed near you or the boy for a while. I nodded slowly. Good. After we hung up, I stared out the window. Caleb was sitting on the floor, drawing a picture of a house. In the middle was a woman with brown hair holding a little boy's hand. I drew us, he said proudly, and for the first time in a long time. I cried, not from pain, not from fear, but from relief. We were finally free, or so I thought, because the very next day, I got a letter in the mail, a lawyer's letter. Amanda was filing for full custody. She wanted Caleb back, and she was ready to fight. Hard. I sat at the kitchen table with the letter in my hands, my fingers trembling. Amanda was suing for full custody. Less than 2 weeks after being arrested, after CPS got involved, after the police pulled her off our neighbor. She wanted Caleb back like nothing had happened. The letter said she'd completed anger management counseling, had a stable home, and claimed I'd manipulated the system to turn her own son against her. I stared at those words, numb. Manipulated? I was the one who cleaned up her broken bottles. I was the one who tucked Caleb in when she forgot he even existed. I was the one who held my side, gasping for air while Mom laughed and Amanda stood over me with her fist still clenched. And now she wanted to act like none of it happened? Rachel walked in and froze when she saw my face. What is it? She asked. I handed her the letter. She read it in silence, then slammed it down on the table. No, absolutely not. She doesn't get to just walk back in and pretend to be a mom now. She has a lawyer, I whispered. A real one. Rachel leaned in, her voice firm. And you have evidence. And the truth. Don't forget that. I nodded, but the fear in my gut twisted tight. Caleb was in the other room, coloring on the floor. I watched him scribble little stars onto a paper spaceship. He looked happy, safe, and I wasn't going to let her take that away from him, or from me. I called Officer Dean that afternoon and told him about the custody filing. His voice dropped. You've got enough on your side to contest it. But Amanda's smart. She's going to try and play victim. Make sure you're ready. I was. I pulled out the folder I kept hidden in the closet. Copies of every bruise audio file, the CPS case reports, the footage from the night she hit me. All of it. But then I remembered something else. The mystery video. The one someone sent me. The only video that showed the moment Amanda hit me and Mom laughed. That person still hadn't revealed themselves. And I needed them. I texted the number again. Hi. Amanda is suing for custody. Can you help me? 3 dots popped up, then vanished, then appeared again. Finally, a reply came through. Meet me tomorrow, 9 p.m. Parking lot behind the old rec center. Come alone. I stared at the message. It felt like a trap, but I didn't have a choice. The next night, I drove out to the old rec center. It was dark, the parking lot mostly empty except for one old blue truck with a busted headlight. A figure stood near it. Hoodie up, face hidden. I parked and stepped out. Natalie, the figure said. The voice was familiar. Slowly they pulled the hood back. It was Leslie, Amanda's friend. I blinked. You? You sent the video. She nodded. Why? Her voice was quiet. Because I saw what she did to you. And I couldn't stay quiet anymore. You were her best friend. I was, she said, eyes glassy. But she changed. She started screaming at Caleb, throwing things, drinking all day. I tried to pull away, but she threatened me to. Said if I turned on her, she'd ruin my life. I took a breath. Why the secret messages? I knew if Amanda found out I helped you, she'd come after me. But now that she's suing you for custody, you need more. I have more. She pulled a flash drive from her pocket. Footage from her house, Leslie said, yelling at Caleb, throwing a lamp. There's a clip where she screams. I should have left you at the hospital. My heart dropped. Why did you record this? I was scared, Leslie said, and I wanted to protect him. Same reason you're fighting. I took the drive, clutching it tight. Thank you, I whispered. Leslie looked down. Make sure Caleb never goes back to her. I will. I drove home in silence, tears streaming down my face. Not from fear this time, but from hope. Hope that I had a real shot now. But things were about to get worse before they got better, because Amanda wasn't done playing dirty. The next morning, I dropped Caleb off at school. As I walked out, someone called my name. A woman in a dark suit, clipboard in hand, cold eyes. I'm with the Department of Family Services, she said. We've received an anonymous report that you may be emotionally manipulating the child against his mother. I stared at her. What? We're required to follow up. It's claimed that you've made comments to the child suggesting his mother is a bad person, and that you've denied him phone calls. That's not true, I said. We'll be conducting an in-home inspection today. Just like that, I was under investigation. Amanda had reported me. She was trying to flip the script, make it seem like I was the monster. That night, I sat Caleb down. Hey, buddy, I said gently. Has anyone asked you anything weird lately? Like about me? He nodded. Some lady at school asked if I was scared of you. My stomach turned. What did you say? I said no. I said you're the nicest person in the world. I hugged him tight, burying my face in his hair. Amanda could play dirty, but I wasn't going to break. When the investigators showed up, I handed her everything. Documents, letters, proof. I even gave her the flash drive from Leslie. She didn't say much, just took notes. Then she asked to speak to Caleb alone. I waited outside, heart pounding. 30 minutes later, she came out, her expression softer. He's a sweet boy, she said, and he clearly feels safe with you. Does that mean I'll be submitting a favorable report on your behalf? She said. But just know, Amanda won't stop unless the court shuts her down officially. I nodded and made a decision. I was going to court. I'd stand before a judge, and I would lay out everything. Every bruise, every scream, every silent night in the cold garage. Amanda could bring her lawyers. I had truth, and Caleb, and proof. But just when I thought I'd prepared for everything, something happened that I never saw coming. It was a week before the hearing. Rachel ran in from the kitchen, panic in her voice. Natalie, turn on the TV. I grabbed the remote and clicked the news on. The reporter was standing outside a courthouse. Behind her, Amanda, handcuffed again. And this time, she wasn't getting out so easily, because what she did next made her a criminal in the eyes of the whole country. Amanda's mugshot flashed across the screen, sharp and cold. The headline scrolled beneath it in bold, white letters. Local woman arrested for attempted child abduction. Custody battle turns criminal. I dropped the remote. The news anchor's voice cut through the room like a blade. Amanda Collins, 30, was arrested earlier today after attempting to take her 6-year-old son from his elementary school, despite having no legal custody. According to school staff, Collins used a fake emergency contact form and claimed there had been a family death. Surveillance footage shows her entering the school office and demanding the child be released immediately. Staff stalled her long enough for authorities to arrive. Rachel clamped her hand over her mouth. Oh my God! I stood there frozen, hand shaking, heart pounding. Caleb was upstairs, playing with Legos. Safe, thank God. The reporter kept going. Police say the mother is currently under investigation by Child Protective Services, and is already facing charges from a separate assault incident earlier this month. A custody hearing had been scheduled for next week. I turned the TV off. My mind raced. She really did it. She actually tried to take him. No lawyers, no court order, just walked into the school and tried to walk out with him like nothing had happened. This wasn't just desperation. This was dangerous. I rushed upstairs and found Caleb sitting cross-legged on the floor, humming to himself. He looked up. "Can we go to the park later?" I swallowed hard and knelt beside him. "Hey, buddy, we might need to take a break from the park for a little while." He tilted his head. "Why?" I brushed the hair from his forehead. "Because your mom did something that got her into trouble. But you're safe. I promise." He nodded slowly. "Is she mad at me?" The question stabbed through my chest. "No," I said softly. "She's not mad at you. She's just making some bad choices." He looked down. "I miss her." I wrapped my arms around him and held him tight. "I know." I spent the rest of the day contacting every person connected to the case. Officer Dean, my lawyer, the CPS investigator, Caleb's school. They were all rattled. She could have been gone before we even noticed. The principal told me over the phone. If she had waited 5 more minutes, we'd be telling a very different story right now. The court date was pushed up. The judge wasn't waiting anymore. Amanda was being held without bail. The DA was considering additional charges, false documentation, endangering a minor, attempted abduction. It wasn't just a custody battle anymore. It was a criminal case. 3 days later, I stood in the courthouse, my palms sweating, Caleb sitting beside me holding a stuffed dinosaur in one hand and my fingers in the other. My lawyer leaned over. "We've got everything in our favor now. You've done everything right." I nodded, staring straight ahead. The judge entered, stern and expressionless. This court is now in session. Amanda shuffled in with a public defender. She looked wrecked. Dark circles under her eyes, wrists cuffed, orange jumpsuit swallowing her frame. She wouldn't look at me, wouldn't look at Caleb. The hearing began. My lawyer laid it all out. The videos, the abuse, the assault, the false report, the attempted abduction, the CPS records, Leslie's statement, the school's security footage. Amanda's lawyer argued stress, mental instability, grief, the pressure of single motherhood. The judge didn't blink once. After 2 hours of testimony, witness statements, and evidence review, the judge took a breath. "Ms. Collins, due to the overwhelming evidence and your current charges, this court finds you unfit for custody at this time. Effective immediately, all parental rights are suspended pending the outcome of your criminal proceedings. Full guardianship of Caleb Collins is hereby granted to Ms. Natalie Reynolds." The gavel came down like thunder, and just like that, I became his legal guardian. Amanda stood slowly. She looked at Caleb for the first time. He didn't wave. He didn't smile. He just looked away. They took her out through the side door, shackles clinking against the tiled floor. I exhaled for what felt like the first time in weeks. Rachel met us outside the courthouse with 2 sodas and a big warm hug. "You did it," she whispered. "It's over." But it didn't feel over. Not yet. Because later that night, as I was tucking Caleb into bed, he looked up and said, "Will Mommy be in jail forever?" I sat beside him and rubbed his back. "I don't know, sweetie. But even if she is, she still loves you. Do you think she's sorry?" That question stayed in the air like smoke. Was Amanda sorry? Or was she just mad she got caught? I didn't answer him that night. I didn't know how. Instead, I whispered, "Sleep tight." And I closed the door. The next morning, something strange happened. I found a box on the front porch. No return address. Inside, my old hospital scrubs. My cracked phone from the glove box. My broken water glass. And a note. 1 sentence. "This doesn't fix anything, but I'm sorry." No name. No signature. But I knew who sent it. Amanda. Maybe it was guilt. Maybe it was a goodbye. Maybe it was both. I folded the note and slid it into the back of my notebook, the one labeled Operation Get Out. Then I crossed off the final line I had written months ago. Phase 5, survive. But as I closed the book, I realized something. This wasn't just about surviving anymore. This was about building something new. A life Caleb and I could both be proud of. Free from fear. Free from fists. Free from people who only knew how to destroy. But before I could take the next step forward, I heard a knock at the door. A new knock. Different. Slow. Deliberate. I walked over, heart starting to race again. I opened it, and standing there was someone I hadn't seen in years. Someone who left when I was still a teenager. And they had just one thing to say. I heard what happened, and I think it's time I told you the truth about our family. And just like that, everything I thought I knew was about to change. The person at the door was tall, older, with sharp features and silver streaks in his beard. He held his worn cap in his hands like it weighed 50 pounds. I stared at him for a few long seconds. "Uncle Drew," I finally whispered. He gave me a tired smile. "Hey, kiddo." I hadn't seen Uncle Drew in over 15 years. He left after a big fight with Mom when I was barely a teenager. Rumors flew. Some said he stole money from the family. Others claimed he joined some church cult up north. Truth was, nobody ever told me what really happened. I stepped aside. "Come in." He nodded and walked in slowly, like the house still remembered him. He looked around, eyes lingering on the photos on the wall. One of Amanda in her high school cheer uniform. One of Mom at a backyard barbecue, drink in hand. None of me. I didn't keep pictures of myself out. I guess I never saw the point. "I heard about Amanda," he said, taking a seat at the table. "And the boy. And you." I sat across from him, tense. "What do you want?" "To say sorry. To explain. Maybe to help." "Why now?" He looked down at his hands. "Because you're the first Reynolds in a long time who stood up and did what was right. And I figured you deserved the truth." I waited. He took a breath. "Your mom, she wasn't always like this. She was tough, yeah, but not cruel. But when your dad died, something broke in her. She started drinking more. Started resenting everything and everyone, including you girls." I folded my arms. "That doesn't excuse anything." "I know," he said quickly, "but it explains some of it." He continued, "Back then I tried to get custody of Amanda and you. I had a decent job. No wife, no kids of my own. But your mom fought hard. She said I was just trying to control you all." "She told us you left," I said. "Said you stole from her." He scoffed. "She always did know how to twist the story." "No, Natalie. I left because I couldn't fight anymore. I didn't want to tear you kids apart. I thought staying out of it was the better choice." My jaw clenched. It wasn't. I know that now. We sat in silence for a long time. Then he pulled something from his pocket, a faded envelope with my name on it. "I wrote you this when you were 13. I gave it to your mom. She never gave it to you." He slid it across the table. I opened it. Inside was a letter written in shaky handwriting. It said how proud he was of me, how sorry he was for leaving, how he wished he could take me in, but that the courts wouldn't allow it. He begged me to stay strong, to never believe I was unlovable. Tears stung my eyes. All this time, I thought no one had cared, but someone did. Uncle Drew sat back in his chair looking tired. "You don't have to forgive me, but I wanted you to know." Caleb peeked out from the hallway, eyes wide. "Who's that?" I smiled through the tears. "This is Uncle Drew. He's family." Caleb came out slowly. Drew knelt and extended his hand. "Nice to meet you, Caleb." Caleb looked at me and I nodded. He shook Drew's hand. We spent the rest of the afternoon talking. Drew told Caleb funny stories about his mom and me when we were kids, back when life was simpler and softer. For a moment, it felt like healing was possible. That night, after Caleb went to sleep, Drew asked the question I hadn't expected. "What's next for you?" I shrugged. "I don't know. I've been surviving for so long I never thought past that." "You ever think about moving? Somewhere fresh?" I blinked. "Like where?" "I've got a small property down in Asheville. Quiet town. Good schools. You could start over." I looked around Rachel's apartment. Kind, warm, safe, but not mine. Starting over. It sounded like peace. "I'll think about it," I said. Over the next few days, things moved fast. The DA decided to press charges against Amanda for attempted child abduction, falsifying records, and endangering a minor. Her court date was set for next month. Her lawyer tried to reach a deal, but nothing was final yet. Mom called once. I didn't pick up. She left a voicemail, voice shaking. "You've made your point. Congratulations. You've destroyed this family." No apology, just blame. I deleted the message. A week later, I got a certified letter. Amanda had officially relinquished her parental rights. No court battle. No more filings. Just one line: "I give up." The judge finalized it 2 days later. Caleb was mine. Legally. Permanently. That night, I sat on the porch of Rachel's place, watching the stars, thinking about everything. My broken rib had healed. My bruises faded. But the lessons, they stayed. I learned that blood doesn't make a family. Actions do. I learned that being kind doesn't mean being weak. And I learned that the quiet ones, we hold the loudest power of all, because when we finally speak, the world listens. Uncle Drew and I packed up Rachel's garage the following week. She hugged me tight at the door. "You're going to do great, Nat. You've got the fire now." I smiled. "Thanks for giving me a place to land." We drove down to Asheville in his truck. Caleb stared out the window, pointing at cows and horses and rolling hills. "Are we going to be happy here?" he asked. I looked back at him. "I think we already are." We pulled up to the small house on a hill, nothing fancy but warm with room to grow. A fresh start. Later that night, after tucking Caleb in, I opened my old notebook one last time. I flipped to the back page, wrote one last thing. Phase 6 build. Then I closed it for good. My story didn't end with a broken rib. It started with one. And from that pain, I built something stronger than fear, stronger than hate, a new life, a better one. And that, right there, was the sweetest revenge of all.